Hi, everybody. I'm Mel Doerr, and the Chicago Psycho, no, Aloha Shirt Psychic. And I am so happy. It's been quite a while. We're going to do this once a month. We say that, but we'll get back to it. A lot of things have happened, but I've got Aiden Davis in the house. Hey. So,
Hi.
so Aiden says he's going to be posting more videos on his YouTube channel. That's Aiden, Aiden, Reads Tarot, Tarot. And if you'd like a session with Aiden, and I would suggest getting one, he's very good. You can email him at Aiden, Aiden, INC 2 at gmail.com. That's that's Aiden, Aiden, Inc. 2 at gmail.com. And put the number 2, don't spell it out.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for telling people where to find me. I think that you're one of my favorite people to talk to on here, and I'm so glad that we have this monthly show that we do. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to be here. Happy August.
So Aiden and I picked like a topic for the month, and we thought, with everything I've gone through, but even for our country, the country needs to be healed. And so I think hopefully we'll see that process. So the theme for the month of August is well-being. And I think that is apropos. All right. We've got a bunch of
Yeah,
questions. Go ahead, Aiden.
it feels like every month that we are going through this year, I feel like every month we get more elevated in terms of energy. It feels like our energy gets more elevated, and like in as a country, as a world, as a population, I feel like more and more people's eyes are opening up to the truth. And I think that once that happens, people will start to have more harmony and peace in their life.
Good. Yay. All right. So we've got questions. How we get started?
Yeah.
Okay, I think YouTube started putting numbers after everybody's name, so I'm not going to do the numbers after everybody's name. I'm just going to read the name. So Hope says, "You look fabulous." I think she's talking about you, Aiden. Or
No, I think she's talking about you.
it looks like a great upcoming show. Thank you. Will the insane proposed defense budget be trimmed down? This is like three questions in one. Um, I do see it being trimmed down a little bit. The answer is yes. But I do think that some of the MAGA, however you pronounce it, people want to hold the budget hostage. But if they do that, it's just another nail in the coffin. So I don't see them being successful with holding the economy hostage. So what do you pick up on that? Will the budget uh, defense budget be trimmed down?
I think we're still looking at like a good a good few months for this to happen. Even maybe like even at the beginning of next year, I get like the Queen of Cups reversed, and to me, this is all about a group of people being unsupportive. So like you can't really pass something in the government if like half of the people are not supportive of whatever is trying to be fixed. So I really do think that we're going to start seeing more and more legislation be fixed and upheld by the beginning of next year to the end of next year.
Which segues into the next question that Hope asked is like, will House Republicans behave better in August? Well, not all House Republicans are ill behaved. There's just a small group, MAGA, that are, and I don't think they're going to behave any better. But ultimately, I see them out.
Yeah, I really think that we are getting to a point where we're kind of gonna like flush all the MAGA people down the toilet and just like and like get them out of here. And I can't wait to see where we can have a government where both sides of, the government can work together. They can agree to disagree. They can like have more things in common. I really think that's so important. Instead of having like one side with a very high brick wall that they don't want to let people in. I think it's so important that both sides work together.
Well,
So I do see that.
go ahead.
No, no, no. You What were you gonna say?
I'm just going to say at some point I see an end to this divisiveness, and I agree that people work together regardless of political ideology. At some point, I see an end to this polarization. I think the one thing that the polarization has done is put an end to voter apathy, but people have got to get out and vote. But I agree with you on that. All right. So, okay. This one is like 5 questions in one. Just one question, everybody. Okay. Will the federal lawsuit against Abbott's razor wire boys succeed? Yes, it will. What do you think?
Yeah, I just got a strong yes.
And will Abbott lose his governorship? I see him voted out. All right. Okay. Jitterbug Tutu. I love that name. Hello, Auntie Mel and Aiden. You're looking good, Auntie Mel. Thank you. Sending continuous healing vibes and energy to you for a full recovery. You know, I have to say, so many people donated and so many people have sent letters and they're just pouring in. And I want to answer them all. And there's just not enough of me. But you know, if you don't hear from me, I'm not being ungrateful, because I'm so grateful to all the letters and the donations and the kind words and the loving support everybody has sent. And Aiden, I was so happy that the community, yourself involved, got together and surprised me. I was completely surprised by that.
Yeah, I thought that was so fun. I put on my nicest Aloha shirt and I popped on the live stream and I wanted to wish you a speedy recovery. And I think that it's working as far as I can see. I think all the love and support from the community has got you where you are now. So
I still can't open my mouth very wide.
that's
Um,
okay. It'll get better as the days go by.
the side of my tongue is still really sore. My mouth is really sore, but not as bad as it was. So it does get better. Okay. Thank you, Jitterbug Tutu. Question: will there be term limits for Congress, Senate, and Supreme Court? And I pick up yes, yes, and yes.
Yeah, I really do think so. As always, there's going to be like a strong push from the Republicans to not have this because they want their people in these spots for as long as possible. So I do again, I see this happening maybe at the start of Biden's new term. So I do think we're going to see a lot more term limits and controls in government.
Well, I think with a lot of the truths coming out, there'll still be a small group of people that'll still support the crooks, right? And I won't mention any names because um, but I see more well-being coming to our country. It'll be turbulent for the next 8 or 9 months, but I think until now the next election cycle. But I think with the trials and all this and all of that, you know, people might think it'll polarize even more, but ultimately I see healing. So that's what I pick up. All right. Ranger Goal says, will Florida residents feel the backlash for DeSantis losing his presidential bid? Go ahead.
I don't see like DeSantis like basically punishing Floridians. I think that he's doing what he's doing just because. I don't feel like he's passing certain legislation because like his presidency failed or his run for president is going to fail. I just see him doing these things just to make people mad and um really he's trying to start like this new like group. I've always got this feeling that he's trying to start this new group and yeah, that's what I got.
Well, my feeling is he's already punishing them.
Yeah.
You know, if they're asking about retaliation, no. But you know, he's pandering to, here again, the MAGA or MAGA, however you say it, ultra right wing Christian nationalists, who that little group is trying to push all their stuff down our throat. And I see an end to this American apartheid, that small group is not going to be able to push their beliefs down our throat. And at some point, a lot of his stuff is going to go to court, like SCOTUS, when it changes. In other words, and a lot changed. Like, for example, you can't say the word gay, or if you do, you know, if you teach something he doesn't like, you can be arrested, da 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 da. You know, that's against freedom of speech. So I see a lot of this going to the higher courts, and most of the stuff will be overturned. And in the future, I see kind of him as a political nothing burger, as Linda Grindle would say. It'll take a while. And you know, the biggest mistake he made is when he took on Disney. You don't mess with Donald Duck. And you know, he's created his own undoing, but he is playing to those ultra right wingers, Christian nationalists, and that's going to end up biting him. And you're right, he's trying to create some kind of new order for these ultra conservatives, and it's way too far right. The same as too far left is wrong as well, and he's not going to succeed. For a while,
And
it might look as if he wins a few battles, but my guides tell me he will not win the war.
yeah, it's going to keep on going on with him for a few more months. I always see 2024 being such a great year for this country. So hopefully, like all that washes away next year. And I think recently his team just threw out one of the like AP courses for high school that I think like one of the main AP courses for high school. Um, they threw it out because it taught something in the curriculum that he didn't agree with. So now students have one less option for college credits.
But I see that changing again for
That's
the
good.
better. You know, but then he backpedaled and said he didn't do it, that other people did. So, you know, he's throwing other people under a bus. But I don't, but, you know, a lot of the things that he's banned from schools, I see being brought back. And at some point, I see an end to this book banning as well. So, all right. Sylvia Munoz. Hi, Sylvia. Hello, everyone. Mel, you're looking good. Thank you. What do you see for Hunter Biden future? I'm worried about Hunter. Is he going to be okay after all this drama with the judge not accepting his plea deal? My response to that is, if any politician is guilty of a misdemeanor or a felony, they need to be held accountable. Now, I also believe that someone is innocent until proven guilty. All right. I remember when all the speculation was flying around where, you know, President Biden pardoned his son. I don't think he would stoop to that level like other politicians did who pardoned a bunch of thugs and who sold pardons. And that will be proven that pardons were sold. All right. I see another plea deal for Hunter. All right. And I don't see him going to jail. And so that's what I pick up.
I totally agree with that. You know, the vision I got in my mind while you were talking was since the Democrats really are putting Donald Trump over the fire and, you know, making, trying to get him, you know, held accountable, I really see Republicans being very retaliatory and trying to get Hunter Biden, you know, in the same place. But it's like apples and oranges. They're not the same thing at all. So even though I do agree that people should be held accountable for what the actions they take, I do think that Ten of Cups reversed, he's upset about this happening. Um, and I feel like with the sun reversed, it's going to take a little while for this all to be cleared up. But ultimately, I got the Six of Wands, which is all about victory. So I agree. I don't see him going to jail.
The thing that bothers me about the whole thing is, you're right, is mixing apples and oranges. You know, he didn't steal secret documents. He didn't, under the guise of freedom of speech, you know, plan and try to execute an insurrection. He didn't do any of that. You know, the double standards. And what I see is an end at some point to this hypocrisy and the double standards. Because, you know, Trump didn't pay income taxes for 20 or 21 years, overinflated his properties, That's all going to come to the forefront. But yet they come after Hunter Biden for not paying income tax for 2 or 3 years, but then they get their bowels in an uproar when people go after Trump. And I see an end to the double standards. I mean, if Hunter Biden did something wrong, then let the courts prove that. The same as if Donald Trump did something wrong, let the courts prove that. But they're mixing apples and oranges. You're right.
They are, especially with the orange. I think Donald is an orange. So
Why don't you guys say they're mixing apples and oranges?
that's funny.
So here again, everybody, don't write me about Hunter Biden. I see him getting out of trouble. Okay. I'm just making the point that they're going after Hunter, but that same party that's going after Hunter didn't do anything against Trump when Trump didn't pay his taxes.
If Hunter Biden was still Biden's son and he was a Republican, I don't see them going after him.
They wouldn't have. You're right. They wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Or a member of the Orange family.
Yeah.
Okay. Rocardi, I think. Happy they're doing so great. Thank you. My question for August is, do you think Trump will take it on the lam this month? No. I don't see him landing. In other words, running off.
Okay, yeah, I was like confused.
Taking it on the lam means when somebody lands, it means they run away. They go to another
Okay.
country.
Yeah, I don't see him doing it this year at all.
I don't see him doing that at all. Says I've envisioned him overseas hiding out, then the feds going in and hauling his, you know what, back to the US. I mean, I'm sure his lawyers would strenuously advise him not to do that. And one of the things they're going to do is when you're indicted federally, they revoke your passport. So ex-president or not, he's not going to have a passport. So he might be in his airplane flying around a lot, but unless another country just decides to accept him without a passport. But I don't really feel him lambing. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, there are like I feel like it's kind of up in the air basically a little bit for me because um I do think his team is strategizing and planning. They have like a whole like mood board of things that like possibilities because Donald Trump is someone that really um he doesn't face his problems. He basically runs away from his problems. So I think that's why a lot of people have thought that he's going to run away. But I don't see that. I don't see that happening this year. Possibly like in the middle of next year, but I don't. I don't know if I see that as of now.
Okay, Pat Lee, this is kind of cute. Got lots of important medical tests coming on 8/8 at 8 a.m. All those eights, right? I know you're not doctors. No, we're not. And don't play them on TV. You're right, we don't. But do you see me meeting a single straight age-appropriate doctor love interest on this day? I love it. I think you'll pull through the test fine. I don't know if you'll meet a doctor on that day, but I can tell you, you won't be alone. And at some point, I do see you meeting a significant other who's not a physician, but whose sexuality matches yours. And so normally we don't do personal questions, but I went ahead and answered it. Go for it, Aiden.
That's a good one. I want to pull up my dowsing rods and see what I get because I feel like this is.
Remember
Oh
nothing.
yeah, here it is.
Remember no medical questions.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. If they cross, it's a yes, and if they ghost, I decided to no.
Yes to what?
Will
She asked about 3 questions.
if she's gonna meet a doctor love interest on the day of the hospital.
No, I don't see that.
Okay, I gotta know, but will there be a love interest in her life soon?
Yay.
Got a big yes. So
Righty. All right. Okay. David Gretsch. Hi, David. Where is the most destructive hurricane going to be this season? Thank you for your collab, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you. I see a bunch of them hitting Florida and the Caribbean, but I see a bunch more intense hurricanes whipping up through the Gulf and then some coming out of the Atlantic, and one changing course. And everything is going to, one of the is going to hit one place in Florida, but it'll hit somewhere else. I do see Alabama getting hit, and a part of Louisiana. So that's what I intuit.
Yeah. One of the first countries that popped in my mind when you read this question was Honduras. And I don't think about Honduras often, so um, that is that is like a sign to me that I think that if you're in that area, especially like I don't think it might just only affect Honduras. I think it's going to affect a lot of countries surrounding it. So make sure that you have enough water stocked up, food, canned food. So just keep an eye out for the hurricane season.
We hope it doesn't happen, but climate
Yeah.
change is getting worse, and it's getting more dramatic, and it's accelerating. And it's Mother Nature's way of telling us that we've got to stop a lot of these carbon emissions. I'm sorry. At some point, we will, before the scale tips too far, and we don't go into Armageddon, as Linda Grindle would say. Okay, Donna Hensley. Will Putin be on the run and the Ukraine war finally end in August? And I hear the answer is no, it's not going to end in August.
No, I think there's a few more months having to deal with this, and I don't see him stopping at Ukraine. I feel like his next goal is to take out another country or another part of a country.
Well, I see two, possibly three more attempts being made to overthrow him, maybe within the next year, but I do see him gone. But he has to also watch his health. Donald Trump needs to watch his health as well. But Ukraine will not give up. And then the person coming after Putin, would be really good at restoring order and, pulling out the whole Ukraine mess. And at some point, I see United States getting a lot of contracts in Ukraine to help rebuild that country. So it would give jobs to contracts to a lot of American companies and jobs to a lot of Ukrainians and create some jobs here as well. So I see the number 1.5. Timing is hard for us intuitives. It could be a week and a half, a month and a half, but I think it's another year and a half before anything really takes place with Putin being gone and this whole Ukrainian thing being settled. It's
Yeah,
another
and
Vietnam. It's like a Vietnam for Russia. It really is.
yeah, I I strongly do see that he's going to try to go for another part of another country. So keep an eye out for that.
Okay.
Hopefully it doesn't happen.
Grandma's Kitty's Halloween story says, is there a message for Leos this month, born the 13th of August? I mean, our messages tonight is about well-being. I really don't do astrology, so I don't know a lot about it. So I really can't answer that question other than I see a lot of truth coming to light during the sign of Leo.
Yeah, and I think one of the messages I have for Leos this month and basically everybody is to try and limit the self-deprecating thoughts or ideas you might have about yourself in your head because this can impact so many things. It can impact your mental health. It can impact the way that you feel around others. It can really build up your anxiety. So I really want you guys to sort of when you catch yourself thinking these bad things about you like when I look at myself sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, my nose is so big. That's one of the things that is detrimental to people's mental health if they look at themselves in the mirror and they see something they don't like. I really do think that it's important to, instead of looking at the negative side, we look at the positive side. Like, oh my gosh, I love my freckles. I think my freckles are so unique and special. So um,
You're
try
unique,
to,
especially.
oh, thank you. So try to use this month as a way to get over that. I would call it like, um, it's kind of like an addiction. Like you have an addiction to um, creating these negative thoughts about yourself. And I feel like everybody in the whole world has gone through this. So try to overcome that and really think more positive things about yourself.
It's funny. after they did this neck dissection here, it's hard to see the scar. I don't know if the light will show. Well, let me see. Maybe this will show up. It's kind of hard to see the scar, but it's right here. Um, uh, I thought about wearing scarves to hide it and this and that. I'm like, the more I looked at it, the more craters that looked. And then one day my guide said, forget that. It's your scar. You earned it. Wear it proud. So rather than try to hide it, I'm like, no, I can wear it proud. Maybe it's a sign of cancer awareness to other people who are going through it, that it's not the end of the world. So I like what you said. Rather than making it negative, you take something and you make it positive.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. And I really do see you, you know, being a very outspoken advocate for getting checked up at the doctor, especially that, creating awareness for all these types of cancers that are happening. So I think that you
Well, you're
are
right on.
kind of,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Go
No,
ahead.
no, no. That's all I got.
No,
But
you're right on about that, because right before the show, what I was doing, I was online looking for ribbons for head and neck cancer, and a hat and shirt and things like that. And to my members, when they join, not subscribers, but members, call my office, 847-590-5411. Either send them a ribbon or a little bracelet for oral and for oral cancer awareness. So um anyway, so you're right. I am starting to be active about it.
that's good. That's good.
Okay. Nancy Vasquez. Arizona has a record-breaking streak of 15 consecutive days with temperatures over 115 degrees. What is the future of Arizona? Well, I see Arizona being purple, so that's good. Will we experience blackouts? I do see some blackouts coming, but I think that's people's way of saying, wait a minute, this crumbling infrastructure we can no longer deal with. And it's a wake up to opening our eyes toward climate change.
Yeah, I do see the heat all around the United States. It's going to keep on rising in the next few years. I in Texas, I live in Texas, and today it was like 107 degrees. So I feel everybody that's like living through this heat. Um,
Texas is
I
gonna
think,
Texas is going to have some blackouts too.
yeah. I think with the climate, it's kind of like a wave. It's gonna keep on going higher, and then it's gonna stabilize, and it's gonna come back down a little bit. So I would say give it 3 to 4 more years until we see some cooler weather happening throughout summer.
When I first moved to Chicago back in the 1980s, I thought I moved to Siberia. I mean, it would snow in October, November, and we wouldn't see the ground again until like maybe April or May. And now we've had very mild winters. So I think Chicago is now kind of, our summers have been not so bad. They're getting hotter, but I think Chicago is now what, like, more, and in Kentucky we had snow when we were kids. But I think that what the temperature in Chicago is, and it gets cold here in the winter, but not as brutal as it used to be. So I think actually the climate here, I can see the warming trend here even. Luckily, it's not
Yeah,
brutal like Texas or like Arizona, but still.
yeah, and I think part of it is humans' fault. I think when I read on this earlier, I think that there's something going on in the ozone layer of the earth where this radiation or heat or sun is getting through the atmosphere, in parts of the country. And I think that in the next few years, we're going to see scientists and researchers try to fix this. And I think they're going to be a little successful with this.
Well, I see a lot more wildfires coming in this country due to the heat and the dry.
Oh, yeah.
California, I saw it into the drought, but there's a lot of floods going on. So a lot more of that coming, a lot more severe storms, a lot more tornadoes. And I see a lot of that in, a lot more tornadoes starting to hit the Chicago area, which we have, but they're not that major, but I see a lot more coming. That's why I always have a basement, because I was in a tornado once in Kentucky. So, um, anyway. All right. Back to Trump for a minute. I do see 3 or 4 indictments coming out. Um, maybe on the federal system, but I'm also thinking that there's going to be at least 4 indictments against him in Georgia coming out within the next week or two. That's my prediction. Nobody asked that. It just hit me. What do you think, Aiden?
I see a lot of these states really trying to get something to stick to him. I feel like some people are scared that he's going to get away because he was this big, powerful man for a long time. And I feel like all these states are going to try to throw things at him and have them stick because people want him to be held accountable. And some of them are scared that it's not going to happen. So I do see a lot more activity regarding him being held accountable. I think it's going to happen.
Well, that's part of the well-being of the healing, but I don't think Fani, I forgot her last name, in Georgia, she's not just throwing stuff to see what's going to stick. She clearly has a case built against him.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just talking about like a bunch of other like state governments in different states trying to come up with cases against him. That's what I think is
Well,
happening.
New York, and then that case of rape or whatever it is. But the whole New York thing, I see the Mueller probe being looked at again at some point, which it hasn't been, but it will. So New York, and then the whole thing in New York about his empire, Georgia, the federal thing. So I see him under indictment in 5 or 6 different areas.
Wow.
And he's not going to beat all those charges, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I see at least 3 or 4, maybe, well, 3 more indictments federally, but I'm also seeing at least 4 indictments from Fani. Is her last name Davis or Willis? I forget. But at least 4 indictments coming from her.
Wow.
So, all right. Beverly Thompson. This is really good. Ohio has a new House bill to prohibit gays and transgenders from looking sexual and being around children. Well, number one, how do you look sexual? And number two, if you're gay in Ohio and if you've adopted a child, and if they say you can't be around a child, then how can you be around the child you adopted? That makes right.
Yeah.
Another bill includes teaching history like Florida. We have issue number 1 in a few days that's written as if it's protecting our Constitution. But in fact, it's changing from 50% majority vote to 60% vote in order to pass any future levies. Ohio is determined to block abortion rights vote in November in recreational marijuana. What's going to happen? Well, as far as the whole looking gay thing, I don't know what looking gay means. I do know what it means, but I don't see that going anywhere. And even if it does, it'll be overturned. And at some point, the whole Roe v. Wade thing will be upheld again. And so, I don't think Ohio is going to go as red as everybody thinks it is. It looks like that the ultra right wingers might win a few battles, but they won't win the war. Um, um, but I don't see them being totally successful in going up to that 60% majority vote because that can bite them in the hiney. So that's how I see it playing out.
Yeah. I just drew a few cards in this and I got the tower. And that is like a rude awakening happening. The devil. Um, so I really do think that some of these things are going to get passed, and then in a year or two, they're going to get like pulled back. Um,
I don't see the
but
gay. I don't see the gay
yeah,
thing.
not that, but there's some other things in Ohio that's going to like some very strong Republican things are going to get passed. Um, Nine of Wands reversed is about these ultra right people that are not going to quit. They're very stubborn. They're really wanting to implement their ideas onto everybody in their state. So I do see I do see something happening with like education in Ohio. I think that they're gonna take a few pages out of Florida's rule book, but I do see them pulling it back in a few years.
That's what I see. You know, it's funny, when they started picking on the transgenders, I said it's not going to be long before they start picking on gay people, and here we are. Uh,
Yeah.
but I don't know what looking sexual means. I do know what it means, but that's not going to fly.
Yeah.
Um, you know, the history thing, they might think they score one on that. Um, but she says, um, let's see, from 50% to 60% vote. Yeah, because right now, if it's 50% that they know that there's equal Democrats and Republicans, then they can get something that it could be stalled and not pass. That's why they want the 60, but I don't see them winning on that. If they do, it won't hold up long. All right. Pam Furdo says, hi, Mel and Aiden. So nice to see you both. Thank you. Mel, you look great. Well, thank you. They say the eyes are the first to go.
Oh,
Do you ever see a Democrat as governor in Indiana? We've been a red state for so long. Yes, I know. Would like to see this flip. Thank you for taking my question, and blessings for continued healing. Thank you. At some point, I do see a Democratic governor in Indiana, but it's going to be it's going to be a while. Maybe
yeah.
6 years.
Oh, yeah. I really do think that with all these governments and all these ultra-right Republicans, I think that we're going to start seeing a lot of them be questioned and taking down some of their practices. Like, for example, one of the most notorious of those, Marjorie Taylor Greene, someone that just pulls random stuff out of thin air to
No, she
yell
pulls it out
about.
of a place where the sun doesn't shine. That's where she pulls.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but yeah. Um, I feel like it's going to start with her and her colleagues over there, and it's going to travel to other Republican parts, like governments in the country. And I think that a lot of leaders that have this ideology, they're going to be questioned. Things are going to be brought up, and they're going to be kicked out. And I do see this happening starting next year and going on for a few more years. So I do think that once people see what their elected officials have done behind the scenes, they're going to start changing their viewpoints, changing their minds. So I do see Indiana becoming more democratic once this happens.
You know what bothers me is that, the Republicans would say, oh, we're all about individual freedoms and individual rights and less government, but yet they want to put a dictator in office, an authoritarian. And when they say they're all about our rights, they're first one taking away our rights, women's rights to choose, gay rights to be with whoever we want to be as a partner. I mean, as long as everybody's an adult, two people, and they're in agreement, who cares? Transgender people, they're picking on them, and they're picking on, they did away with affirmative action. So there's talking about individual rights, but as far as I can see, they're doing everything in their power to take those away.
Exactly. They're trying to go this way, but in actuality, they're like going this way. So
Because they're
um,
pandering to the ultra right wing MAGA Christian nationalists because they want that support, but it's really going to end up biting them in the what.
yeah. And I hate to say it, but I don't see like the ultra MAGA people ever changing their minds. I think they're gonna have to slowly fade away,
They're
pass
not
away.
going to
So
change their minds, but at some point they'll crawl back into the woodwork.
yeah, I feel like they're gonna silence themselves, and it's just gonna be a matter of time until they're all gone. So
I agree with that. Okay. Um, let's see. Donna's Finn. Hi, Mel and Aiden. Here's my question. When we incarnate, do we come back to the same vibration level we left on, or is it possible to come back lower depending on the lesson? Well, if we've worked on the Heva, the wrongs that we've created when they're on the earth plane from the other side, then we can come back at a higher level. I guess if you don't work on them and you're stuck, then when you're in reincarnate, I guess you probably could come back on a lower level. Of course, what could be lower than some of the politicians that's out there now? I don't get that. So
yeah,
depends on depends on how people on the other side face their karma.
I think most of the time when we reincarnate, we're going to see ourselves going at a similar level or like a higher level, because most people in their lives, they strive to create the best life for themselves and others. But again, there are people in this world that don't do that, and we talk about them all the time. So I think that we're going to see, I hope for all of us watching this, we're gonna elevate in our next life. It's gonna keep on going up, and we're gonna one day be rock stars of the spiritual world. So
One of the ways about having well-being is to start focusing more on the positive and not the negative so much. You're right about that. And I do see that shift coming. It might not be coming in August, but the truth coming out is beginning. There's an old saying, a lie will go around the world 1.5 times while truth is still lacing its bootlace. But truth will lace their bootlaces. And when that happens, truth wins. It's not going to change everybody, but I do think part of the well-being is the truth's coming out. We're going to see a lot more of that over the next 2 or 3 months.
yeah, I think that a very big factor in all of our lives and trying to get us to focus on the positive things is music. I think music can really, really, really impact a soul. I think it's one of the things that can heal a soul, like from all the past trauma you've had in your lifetime and previous lifetimes. I think music can really, really bring out the best in people, especially when the music is positive and it's all about loving yourself. And plus, if it has like a catchy rhythm that gets stuck in your head all day long, um, it's basically you like manifesting. If you have this lyric in your head and it day long, you're manifesting that. Like if the lyric was I'm amazing. So are you. And you keep on repeating that in your head all day long. You're basically manifesting that into your own life. So I think listening to very high vibrational music is important. Normally, I never go on tangents like these. I just feel like I'm like basically channeling. Like I don't know. But
Go for it.
yeah, that I think music really helps. So
Great. Okay. Love above one source. Hi, can you please read on the outlook for the shootings and crime in Chicago? Will our new mayor make an impact on this issue? Brandon Johnson is his name. Yes, I know his name. I live here. What I see is one of the prosecutors whose initials are KF. Will be gone, has gone. And I'm thinking they are going to start prosecuting a lot of these shootings and really crack down on gun violence in the city. I'm thinking that Johnson might be a one-time mayor. But I've lived here since 1983, and knock on wood, there's certain neighborhoods in the city I wouldn't go into. But to go downtown and stuff like that, I've never been afraid, and I'm still not. And so, regardless of all the publicity we get here, and yes, the shootings have increased, and the drive-by shootings, and that's frightening. Chicago is still a very wonderful city, and I think a lot of times media does us a great disservice. And I'm not a Pollyanna. We do have issues, yes, we do. But it almost the media almost makes it seem like there's a shooting on every street corner, and that's just not true. What I do see an end to all the carjackings and things like that, and people starting to be prosecuted for those sorts of crimes. And I see, a state prosecutor and that are no nonsense. It's going to say, we're just not going to put up with this. So that's what I see coming.
yeah, I pulled a few cards, and I kind of think that some of the money that should be put into preventing stuff like this isn't really being put in to prevent stuff like this. I feel like some of the money that should be is being put into other things, and that's kind of what the Nine of Pentacles reversed made me think. So hopefully, in you know ASAP, they'll fix that and really allocate the savings or the money to stop the some of the violence that goes on there.
Okay. Love above one source says, love this, love this. Welcome back. Glad you're both here. Will Kamala Harris be our first female president? I see a female president, but I'm just not so sure it's Kamala.
Yeah, I mean, if Biden picks Kamala for his next, I was going to say semester, but that's not, I'm in the college world. For his next, what's it called?
Term.
Term. Okay, yeah, term. Um, I do see, I do see the vice president taking over, um, somewhere in those 4 years. And if that doesn't happen and it's not Kamala, then whoever's the vice president is going to take over. Um, and I'm going on a rant, but like if it happens, then Kamala will, yes, be the first vice president. Um,
First president.
be the president, yeah. Um, and I don't know. I feel like he's torn between two options right now, Kamala or someone new.
He's not going to change Kamala. I can tell you that right now.
You don't think so? Okay.
Nope.
Well,
I
so
don't
do
know.
you think that Kamala will be the first female president?
I see a female president. The only way that would happen is when Biden is reelected, if he doesn't finish his term, then she would be the first female president. That's the only way I can see that playing out.
Yeah.
But in my lifetime, I do feel I'm going to see a female president of color and a gay vice president. And so I will see that in my lifetime. And
Yeah,
I'm good. I'm glad.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Okay. The real material says, wait, the real material. Hi, sending love, light to you both and continued healing for you, Auntie Mel. Thank you. My question is about the UFO hearings. What will come of this? Is full disclosure on the horizon? I do see full disclosure on the horizon. The answer is yes. And then the question is, will the ETs reveal themselves? Well, I don't see some big spaceship landing and saying, hi, we're here. Because for the life of me, with as violent as things are, who the hell would want to visit here? Right? But I do see with the ET hearings, full disclosure, the answer to that is yes. What do you think, Aiden?
I definitely do see us in 3 to 5 years knowing pretty much 60% of everything that we should know about extraterrestrials. I think that we're going to learn a lot more in the next 5 years. And I think that it's going to open up a lot of people's minds, but it's also going to shake up the world a little bit. And I think that we're just waiting a little bit longer until everybody's sort of ready in their own way to face this.
Um, let's see. Rose Balthazar says, hello, Aiden. I missed you. Love to see you with Mel. Oh, thank you.
Aww.
All right. By the way, Auntie Mel, I do want to comment on that. Someone had written me an email saying that he told somebody that he felt they were making fun of me by calling me Auntie Mel. Let me just touch on this. Number one, my friend Beverly, she's a wonderful psychic medium. Her son Jamie, she adopted many years ago, and Jamie started that. I call him my adopted nephew. My nephew, and Jamie, he's gay, and he said, I'm going to call you Auntie Mel. I said, I don't care what you call me, as long as you call me with respect. And so, it was no disrespect, and it was not because I'm transgendered, because I'm not. And he called me Auntie Mel, and it kind of stuck. So he came up with this character. What would Auntie Mel do? And now I think with everything going on with what they're talking about in Ohio and Florida and Texas and all of this about the whole anti-gay thing, I am not transgendered, but I wear the title Auntie Mel proud because it's my protest of saying, yes, I am gay and I can call myself anything I like, and you need to look beyond that. Now, if somebody called me that in a denigrating term, yeah, it would upset me. but we created this character, Auntie Mel. And what would Auntie Mel do? So, for me, it's not about transgender. It's about, you can call me uncle, you can call me auntie. It doesn't matter as long as you do so with respect. And I think part of this well-being we're talking about is learning to respect each other again, because we put that aside a long time ago. But I do see us starting to respect each other again in this country. Not everybody, maybe, but the bigger part of us, yes.
Yeah, and I think that when we call someone something, if we have like a title for someone, I think it's very important to understand the intention of it. Like if someone called you anti-male and they were like very like degrading with it, that wouldn't be appropriate. But I feel like everybody that I see in your comment section is doing it very endearingly. And
Right.
they love you. They feel like that you're their auntie. They feel very close to you. So and I also think it's very important to for guys everywhere to embrace their femininity, because I feel like it's going to be a very important aspect of the future of guys for the rest of the world. I feel like we're kind of leaving this patriarchy theme that we've had for so long in this world, and we're going to this matriarchy. I feel like that's like the energy we're going into. And also, I have to say, side note, if you haven't watched the Barbie movie, go watch the Barbie movie because it was really good. The messages behind it, I think, would really resonate with a lot of you guys because it's all about um, embracing the feminine energy of this world. And um, yeah, I think you guys would like it. I watched it; it's really good.
It's
So
about embracing the male-female energy, not transgendered, that resides within all of us.
mhm.
And so to me, it doesn't matter if you're uncle or auntie in Hawaii. If somebody calls you uncle or auntie, regardless of your gender, it's an honor, because in Hawaii, when somebody calls you uncle or auntie, it's revered, and it's a term of honor because we have earned the right to be called that because of our wisdom and this and that, and they really mean it as an honor, and so that's why I wear it proud.
That's good. I love that.
All right, so you all can call me auntie, you can call me uncle, as long as you do it with respect.
And some of them even call me like nephew Aiden. So I'm totally fine with that too.
Okay, we'll call you nephew Aiden. How's that?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's not me, it's not teasing. Okay. Um, Jabblebot. Hi, Auntie Mel and Aiden. So glad Mel is healing so quickly. Thank you. So glad Aiden is back. Yes. All right. I work at a food pantry. You go. That's so cool. Our numbers have more than tripled since June of 2022. Wow. Does it seem like the number of people needed? Does it seem like the number of people needed food in the northwest suburbs of Chicago will keep going up? And I see, unfortunately, yes. Um, but Jabblebot, if you'll email me, www.meldoerr.com, www.meldoerr.com, and let me know what food pantry that you're working in. I will see to it that there's some donations made there.
That's so good. I remember I um in high school I volunteered a lot of places, and one of the places was a food bank. And I think that those are so important because there's a lot of people all over the country that don't have access to the amount of food that they need to sustain themselves. So I really applaud anybody that's working at a food bank, and
I would love to
think
go
that it's
volunteer for. I would love to go volunteer for 4 or 5 days a month.
yeah, oh my gosh, it'd be so cool. Imagine volunteering with Auntie Mel. So I think that would be
I
amazing.
come volunteer with Auntie Mel,
um,
or whatever. Um, and I got to read the comments to this, because or the replies, which are so cool. So, it was, somebody volunteers in a food bank and in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, and Kim replied, "Thank you for helping those in need right now. Unfortunately, it's like this throughout our whole country. It's the same here in New York City. My friend donates his time at a community center in Florida and said the numbers just keep going up. So many living in poverty. We are the wealthiest country in the world, yet function sometimes like a third world country. How true. We need big changes. Healthcare is right, living wage, and overall better social programs. Agreed 100%. We need to end trickle down economics and subsidies for the ultra wealthy and start taking care of the most vulnerable in this country. It's shameful and disgraceful. I agree 1000%. And as I was reading that, my guides were telling me at some point we are going to have healthcare as a right that's affordable. We will have a good living wage and we'll have better social programs. I hear yes to all of that.
Yeah, and I'm a metaphor guy. So I love like thinking in metaphors. And one of the things I really do think that we're seeing a lot of fallout from the pandemic. I do think that is part of the reason why we're seeing so much happening. But while you're reading this, I kind of picture, like how toddlers, they're learning how to walk. So they try to stand up and they just fall back down. And it might take them a little practice, a little while for them to stand up on their own. So I do see that in regards to like people, homelessness and food crisis. I do see them having to go about it their own ways and practice it. And sometimes they'll fall down and it might take them a few weeks to get back up again. So that's like kind of the metaphor I saw for that.
There's absolutely no reason for anybody to go to bed hungry in this country. None.
Yeah.
Okay. Lana Bulmer says, I love your haircut, Aiden. Aiden, looking so handsome.
Ah, thank you.
All right. I can't read this name. Give me 1 second. Raquel Arnott, I think. All right. What's going to happen to Marjorie Taylor Greene after the stuff she pulled on the Congress floor regarding Hunter Biden? Well, she's going to be censured even more for that. And Hunter Biden is going to win that lawsuit big time against her. All right. Don't get me wrong. What she did was disgusting. Yeah, it really was. And if a Democrat had done that, oh my God, it would have been, or an independent, right? The MAGAs would have gone crazy. All right. She said, but what she did was wrong, but I hope there's some kind of retribution for her actions. And my guides say, yes, there will be. What do you think, Aiden?
I do think that it's very much a possibility we can see her behind bars. Um, However, I think the most likely to happen is she's going to be like exiled from like her like community. Everybody's going to be like, we don't look at her. She's the crazy lady of the town. We're not going to look at her. Just and people are going to be like shielding their children away from her, like stay away from her. Kind of like what she believes should happen to people that are transgender. I feel like that it's gonna start happening with her. Like they're not gonna like want to talk to her. Pull your kids away from her. She's dangerous, and I do see that happening. Is she's gonna get karma for her actions, and even if that doesn't happen through legal processes, which I think it will happen, I think it's gonna happen through like social. No one's gonna take her seriously anymore. No one probably does anymore. So I think that once she's out of the government, she's gonna be struggling.
Does she have any kids?
I think she does.
Because one of her grandkids is going to be gay or transgender. How's that for karma? Not that
Let's
there's anything
see.
wrong with that. There isn't. But she's
She
got
has three.
okay. So she's got a lot of karma she's going to have to pay back. Anyway. Okay. Sybil Bolivar. Okay. What's going on with Mike Flynn and Sidney Powell? Are they under scrutiny or being charged? If not, when? I see Mike Flynn under indictment. I see him being charged. I don't really pick up much on Powell. But that's what I'm picking up. What do you think, Aiden?
I have no idea who those people are, and I probably don't want to find out if they're bad people. So I do see like I said earlier, a lot of people in government that are on the right side. Are they like Republicans?
I'm sorry, say again.
Are they Republicans?
I think, yeah.
So like I said earlier, I think we're gonna see like a bunch of Republicans in government be held accountable for their actions, and it's gonna kind of divert Republican voters from trusting their Republican leaders. So I do think that we're gonna see a lot of karma. I think that's gonna happen soon.
Krusty Waffle Chugs. I like that name.
Crusty waffle chugs.
Uh, please explain. Please explain to this Canadian, in spite of you and other readers saying Trump will get in 2024, about your electoral college. Good luck. We try to figure it out too. They have caused upsets in the past. Well, the electoral college didn't cause the upsets. Okay. I agree the popular vote is impossible for him, but I don't understand the electoral college and its inordinate power. They really don't have inordinate power. I think that the Constitution says that each state, depending on population, will have a certain number of electors. And so, depending on the population of each state, okay, let's say California and Illinois, we have a huge populations because we do. So we have more electors than a state like, say, Wyoming. So let's say you have a candidate who wins Illinois and who wins California, all right? But they don't win a lot of other states. But if those two states have more electoral votes, then they can put that candidate in office. But they have to cast their votes according to the popular vote of that state. So I think the four founding parents set it up to be a representative democracy to make things even and fair. But I do see a lot of I do see some changes coming where that, like what Trump's trying to do is put fake electors in there, things coming down the pike to keep that from happening.
Yeah, I do think we're gonna see a lot of changes. There's still a lot of rules in this country that were made back when it first started, and we're not the same country as we were back then. And technology has, pushed us so far that we're gonna see a lot more changes happening with these rules we've had for a long time. And I think that electoral college is gonna be one of those. And I feel like in a 10-year range span, we're going to see a lot of these changes happening.
It's all based on population, and that's why the census is so important, because that determines how many electors you have, and each state has X amount of electoral votes. So, that's why it's possible for a president to win the popular vote, but not win as president, because it depends on the states they win in. And if you have a bunch of states with a lot more electoral votes, and even though the person running against them can get a lot more of the popular vote, it doesn't matter. It's the electoral votes. but the electoral college has to cast those votes according to what the people of the state have voted for. It's hard to explain.
It is, yep. That's probably why I didn't do good in my government class in high school.
There you go. Sue Smith says, hi, Mel and Aiden. A Radar online news article stated Vladimir Putin will be gone within a year. Well, I see 1.5. Says ex-M16 spy, warning the West to prepare for a terrifying replacement. I don't know if the replacement will be so terrifying. Once again, I see a democracy being restored in Russia. It'll take a while, but I see it happening.
I feel like everybody except for Putin just wants their country to go back to normal. And I do agree with you. I think that the next person after Putin is going to be he's going to have an actual em, em, empathetic side to him. So I really do think that we're gonna we're gonna be in a little bit of good hands with the next person. So I think anybody is probably better than Putin.
Okay, Cindy Bateman says, we got time for just a few more. Alaska is warm this summer. Will this happen again next year? Yes, it will.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think that we're going through like this cycle. I feel like it's going to keep on getting worse for 3 to 4 more years, and then it's going to level out, and then it's going to start getting better. So, um, and I do think it's half of it it's because of humans, and half of it it's just because it's just nature. It's the world. So I do think that we're kind of speeding up the process a little bit, which is not that good.
Okay, Josie Chase says, enjoy you both. Thank you. Good health to you, Mel. Thank you. Aiden, did you get your vacation?
I did. I was so tired of this Texas heat being like over 100 degrees every day that I was like, where is the um best place to vacation in the summer? And I went to San Diego, which is like 70 degrees year round, and I love it there. I want to live there forever.
And
I actually loved it.
you will at some point live there.
I will. Oh my gosh. Um, I actually loved it so much that I went twice in the past month. So um, I love it. I think it's amazing, and hopefully I will live there because I'm a
Not
film major.
hopefully, you will live there.
Oh, well, yeah. I when I live there, I hope that there's a lot more like film opportunities because I'm a film major, and yeah, I think I'm gonna love it there.
All right. Um, what do Putin's daughters think of him? Do they agree with his dictatorship and war? One agrees with everything he does, but there's another one that's going to come out against him. Maybe not now, but I think here again within this next year and a half period, one of his daughters is going to stand against him.
I agree. I think one of his daughters to his face is like, "Yes, father, I agree with you." Um, and the other one is watching this go down, and she is really, really sad.
I agree. Okay, we got time for just this one and then the next one. Velda Ray, I love the name. Hi, Velda. No question for you. Just want to send you love and blessings for your recovery. Thank you. That is so nice. This next one, Jorm 2528. This is really a good one, actually. Can and will this country explicitly codify that no religion shall ever be contaminating any of our public laws, schools, institutions, and political processes, etc., like it states in our Constitution, with stiff legal penalties for any fools who think otherwise. This has teeth in it and means business. Just look over the history of our nation and at all the very tangible damage religious fanatics have done to many of our citizens, as well as others who happen to reside within our borders. I don't have a problem with somebody being religious as if it's a tool for them to achieve their spirituality. I do have a problem when they try to impose that morality or their so-called morality and cram it down everybody else's throat and hold groups of people down. And when they use it to justify things like slavery or being mean or nasty to LGBTQ people or people of color or different religions, then I have an issue with it. You know, this country was founded on the separation of church and state. And if people say it wasn't, yes, it was. And at some point in this country, I see the church running the church and the state running the state. And so that I think with this period in American history, finally we'll learn that guess what? We're not going to have, these ultra nationalist religious people, the small group pushing their stuff down the rest of us throat. We're not going to tolerate it. And at some point, I see legislation passed to say if a church is going to engage in that sort of behavior, then they'll lose their tax-free status as a church. And so that's what I see coming down the pike. My guides are very.
Yeah,
What do you think,
yeah.
Aiden?
I definitely see churches having to pay taxes soon. Even maybe in the next cycle of presidency, I think that that might be something that passes. Um, what I got is interesting. I think that once the world knows that aliens truly exist and they even like see proof for themselves, people and their religion, it's going to shift a little bit. I don't know. You're going to have like very, very religious people that, shove their religion down people's throats like that. You're going to have them trying to fit this alien thing into their religion. And it's going to be weird. It's going to be like, but that wasn't what was in your biblical text. Um, and there's going to be others that are like, this is all fake. These are all holograms, projections by the government. Um, there are going to be people that like kind of give into it and people that strictly oppose it. And I do think that once we like the blindfolds are taken off of us, it's kind of going to push us in a better direction with all this religious trauma being dumped on us 24/7. I do think that I don't know what I'm saying, but like I think that
I got it.
um, we're gonna be more separated.
Just for the record, Jesus was about acceptance and loving and being tolerant. Um, Jesus has room in Jesus' tent for everybody. And Jesus doesn't care if you're LGBTQ, black, white, yellow, green, Muslim, Hindu, whatever. Jesus is about love and acceptance. And that's, to me, is what Christianity is all about. The rest of that stuff going on in that ultra right wing bigoted stuff, that's not Christianity. That is bigotry. That's authoritarianism. That's not Christianity.
Definitely.
The Bible says, do not judge lest you be judged. And I don't want to get religious. I don't, anyway. Okay, we got, you know what, just two more to go, and then we're done. We've answered them all.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Okay. Jorm 2528. Has Mueller ever come to the realization that he was being played by Moscow Mitch and his power hungry GQP Barr and Trump and Trump? And does he ever have any regrets in the part he played in all of this? When he had the perfect opportunity to do more of the right thing, this nation truly desperately needed to have happen. Well, he did do his investigation, and what Mueller said is that Congress needed to do their job. And Bill Barr is the one that said there was nothing prosecutable in there, when in fact Mueller was saying they need to do their job and basically saying there was. So if anybody's to blame here, it's Bill Barr. I see Bill Barr being called to task for this. And I see the Mueller report coming back up front and center, and some of that stuff investigated as well. And proof positive that there was interference from Russia in the 2016 and in 2016. That's what I see. Go ahead, Aiden.
Yeah, I think a lot of these people that worked on the wrong side of um, humans, I think this is all about them learning a lesson. And I do see them sooner or later, they're going to realize that what they were a part of was wrong. And even if they don't think that way until their deathbed, I think they're gonna learn a lesson somehow in some way, some sooner than later. And I even Pence, I think, isn't Pence like sort of like sorry for what his actions were during? He's not
Well, go ahead, and I'll touch on that.
like his. I thought I heard like I'm not a really big like Donald Trump news junkie,
Me
but
either.
like I yeah, I think it's just the job that we have on YouTube. But I think that I thought I heard like Pence was like kind of anti Donald Trump now, and like he's sorry for what his part was during the election. Am I making that up?
I don't know,
Okay.
but but I don't like Pence. However, if somebody likes Pence, that's a prerogative. I wouldn't like them. I mean, I wouldn't dislike them, but they like Pence. I think I got a little bit more depth than that. But it was brought up, and it was a really good point. I think R. Melber brought it up. I don't know who it was exactly, but it was brought up to say that, okay, during the insurrection, when Trump was asking Pence, telling him, oh no, bring in these electors, don't count the vote, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Um, Pence didn't cave into that. But the question was, did he not cave in because he knew it was wrong? Or did he not cave into that because his lawyers told him that at some point this is going to come back to bite you and you could be well under indictment for it? Because at that juncture, had Pence done what Trump wanted, Trump could say, I didn't do it, like Pence did. So I don't think Mike Pence, and this is for entertainment purposes only, you know, didn't do Trump's bidding in the insurrection uh, because because it was a question of right or wrong. I think he didn't do it because he thought that if he did go along with what Trump wanted, at some point he could be in serious trouble.
Oh, so you think he did it for his own reasons rather than the reasons for the country?
That's exactly what I think. And that's
Okay.
exactly what my guides show me. Now, that's just entertainment purposes only. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. That's my psychic opinion.
Yeah. But that was just an example. Like I feel like there are going to be other people in that area that do have some sort of like repentment. Like they're gonna start like I do see like some of them
Aiden,
probably just behind the
it's
scenes.
called
Yes.
back, it's called backpedaling.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I'm an optimist.
No, 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 that's okay. I don't mean to be pessimistic about it, but I guess my question is why did they drink the Kool-Aid in the first place?
Yeah.
And where was their morality then? Morality is
Yeah.
not something you gain overnight. I could
Hmm.
be, but it's a good discussion though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
All right. Lotus says, hi, Mel and Aiden. Can you please see what the outcome will be for Chicago? So much crime, robberies, and shootings. Well, here again, we've touched on that. Um, there was a recent teen trend. They looted and damaged the store. Well, I don't believe in looting, nor do I believe in damaging stores or property. And I think at some point, if that happens again, people will be held accountable. And then Lotus says, the mayor did a press conference and said, we have to be careful on how we treat the kids. Don't call them a mob or baby Capones. He admonished a reporter for saying the word mob. Why isn't the mayor taking action against the crimes in the city? Well, number one, he hasn't been mayor long enough, so let's at least give him a chance. But number two, if teens are looting or whoever it is are tearing up a store, I wouldn't call them baby Capones because that's insulting. But I would say we will hold them accountable. And, part of the well being we're talking about is holding people accountable. And I do see a lot of accountability coming for the people that are pulling these sorts of crimes in Chicago.
Yeah, when I heard that, I kind of felt like the mayor was, focusing on protecting these teens that are causing this havoc, and not saying that they're gonna do something about it. And again, that I keep on hearing money, money, money. I think they're putting money into the wrong things, and they need to look into maybe building like teen advocacy centers, advocacy. I don't know what the word is.
Advocacy.
Advocacy. That's the word. So like teen centers that can really mentor and help these kids that were probably not brought up in the best way. It's all about there's peer pressure, things like that. Um, so I do think that other like there should be funds that are put into place that can help these teens live a happy, normal, and safe life.
I do feel that, but I also think that, you shouldn't call them baby Capones or mobsters. But here again, if I were the reporter, I would have said, report the news. Yes, that looting and stealing and all of that stuff is clearly wrong and that there have to be consequences. And there will be.
Yeah, it
Now, part of
just
that might be,
sucks.
if you've done this and you're a teen and you're convicted of it, then you have to go through this program of community service and helping to repair the damage you've done and do something good for the community and turn it around. And I do see programs like that coming in.
That's great. Yeah, I think that I have a lot of hope in the future of cities like Chicago and
Chicago's
um,
not a bad city. It's a great city.
yeah, yeah,
I'm not negating our problems. We have a lot of them, but still a wonderful city.
yeah, yeah. And things like that happen in every city, but for some, there's just like little centers of things we need to look at. But
Yeah, because it's Chicago. We get a lot of news.
yeah,
I see coming ultimately in this country is an end to the politics of deceive, divert, detract, distract, divide, and destroy. And that is what a lot, I think, of these MAGA, or I can't pronounce it, is it MAGA or MAGA, however you say it.
MAGA.
MAGA. I think it's a lot of what these MAGA people want, deceive, divert. So you don't look at the truth over here, the magician's doing something over here, detract from the truth, distract, divide, and destroy. I see an end to all of that. It's going to take a while, but it will end.
Yeah.
And I think these trials coming up, they'll still try those D's, but it's not going to work.
Yeah, and I don't see all that happening this month. I think it's going to happen like it's going to take years and years and years for that veil to thin. There's going to be so many veils that are going to thin. Like right now, we can't see even half the stuff that's going on in the government right now because of all these deals behind the scenes. But I do think that in the next 10 years, that veil between us and the government is going to really thin, and we're going to know a lot, 90% of what happens in government. So I'm excited for that. I don't like when every single thing gets political. Like, oh, I can't have this type of water bottle because it's it's not what my group of people want. See, like silly things like that.
Well, sometimes the political correctness goes overboard.
Yeah.
Okay, so to get a hold of Aiden, email him Aiden Inc., AIDEN Inc. 2 at gmail.com and go over to his YouTube channel, Aiden Reads Tarot. And I'm having a psychic flash that Aiden's going to put up a YouTube video very, very soon, right, Aiden?
Yes, I definitely will.
Like tomorrow, maybe.
I'll work on it. We'll see.
I'm going to push you.
I know, I know. I have to I have to get the motivation to do it. Like I've been really working hard on getting ready for school. It's going to start later this month. So be on lookout for uploads from Aiden
Soon.
soon.
I predict soon. All right. We'll do this again. Next month, we'll have another topic. And every month, we'll have a topic.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Aiden. Thanks for, it's my honor. I felt so honored that you were in the video that the community did for me, the video or whatever it was, that the fundraiser video.
Of course.
I'm very honored. Thank you. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, it was special to everybody involved, and I hope that I know that everybody that came together, um, really combined all our energies and like sent you a very big healing energy bubble your way.
And
So
I'm still feeling it. Thank you.
yeah,
Okay, and you say, well, get those videos going.
okay.
I'm Doerr. I'm hanging around. I'll be here. And what can I say? And Aiden, we'll talk. And then until next month, aloha and namaste, Aiden.
Bye.